I will talk to you about security, but I won't say from the beginning. I will not say anything about password strength, encryption algorithm, and so on, because I hope you're using HTTPS and your password is more complex than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I mean, use at least 8, so it's long enough. But instead, I want to start with one question. And this question is, what is the difference between real-life security and IT security? So if you have an idea, I want to see some hand, but I know no one will answer here, because it's a very strange question. And yeah, someone will just answer, well, real-life security is just something more dangerous. I mean, if someone breaks in my house, yeah, they can hurt me, they can steal my money, so it's very dangerous and scary. And if they hack my PC, so IT security, what is the problem? I just have my Steam account, so there's nothing interesting. Yes, I also have that secret folder that no one knows, but no one will care. But actually, I think that there's no difference between IT security and real-life security. And I want to say you why. It's because today we live, yeah.
Try to put the microphone
Better, yeah. So I was saying, in my opinion, there's no actual difference between real-life security and IT security, because today we live in what we could call a cyborg society. I mean, you know, a cyborg is a kind of mixture between one part is machine, one part is human, and actually our society is a kind of that. We have machines and we have humans working together. I mean, we rely on machine as well as machines rely on us. Sometimes even to live, we rely on machines. So IT security sometimes has real impact on our life. So for example, if I hack your PayPal account, I can steal your money. So it's real and it's scary enough. And if I hack your Facebook account, of course I can see where you live. Maybe I can see the picture of your children. So it's much more scary. Even because when someone breaks in your house, you know they break into your house. And someone, when you get hacked, you do not know. So it's very scary from this point of view. But the problem is that actually, no people are actually caring about security. And if you're asking me, that is the proper Italian gesture for what? Actually, it's more WTF, but you don't speak Italian, so it's fine. And they are not actually concerned about security. And whenever I ask them, it's very strange. I get very strange answers, because it seems like they are handling security with some kind of optimism. I mean, if you ask to someone, why do you not install Magento patches on your store? And they say me, oh, no, I'm not big enough. No one cares about my website. It seems like the ugly duckling story, you know. No one will like me, I'm too ugly. But it does not work like this. And the most strange answer comes from bigger customers, because they just say, oh, I'm big enough, no one will hack me. But it doesn't work like this, actually. Because if you have a security hole, someone sooner or later will just hack you. There's no way. Even because, and this is very important, because do you remember the last time we forgot about machine security? What happened? I mean, in our society? And one of you, actually. Yeah, the Judgment Day. So, well, actually, it's a joke. I don't think that Magento 2 will travel back in time to kill your mother. At least I'm not sure about Magento 3. But I will ask the Magento guys just to make sure they did not misunderstood when I told them that Magento 2 was a killer application. But anyway, let's come back to reality. IT security can be, I mean, the topic of IT security can be handled in different ways. So we can talk about, for example, security at operating system level. We can talk about security at infrastructure level, and so on. But what I want to focus today is just the application level. So we'll talk about code and what are best practice to avoid, of course, creating bad code and create new security issues. Because despite sci-fi movies, actually are humans the most hackable systems. And actually, we are the only one writing code, so we are introducing security bugs, so we are responsible for security bugs. And this is why, for example, if you're using Magento, and Magento is probably the most secure e-commerce platform in the world, I cannot say for sure, but the security in Magento is very strong, but you cannot actually rely just on this. Because when you use Magento, actually, you do not get a product and you get out of the box and you make it work as it is. Usually, you create custom features you install by yourself. So sometimes you can be accidentally introducing new security bugs. So you can be the very first one creating a security issue problem. And and you can do this by, for example, installing unsecure third-party modules. You wouldn't believe, but a lot of third-party modules are very dangerous, actually. I will show you later what I found in some extension. Of course, I will not say what is the extension name, but you will see what kind of code was inside. And you can, for example, follow bad programming rules. I'm not talking about putting, for example, one evil command in PHP. That's just obvious. But we'll see we can introduce security bugs without knowing that, because some PHP function has side effects you may not know exactly. So I want to focus on 3 rules of the IT Security Fight Club. The first one is, we just told, is to avoid as much as possible to be the first responsible of introducing new security issues. And we'll see how. Second one is that, in my opinion, security is not the only responsibility of the one handling the website. I mean, it's a kind of community responsibility. So if you find something wrong, if you find a security issue, you should report this security issue. I think it's your duty. And third one, you should be able to identify if your website is vulnerable and if it has been hacked. Because sometimes it's very hard to understand if you have been hacked. Because not all the hacking attempts end with defacement. I mean, sometimes you get malicious JavaScript in your website and you do not know because you just do not see. And if you're not able to identify this code, it can be very dangerous. So let's start with the first one. But before we go, we should understand that we should know our enemy. And we have to understand that a security bug is nothing more than one unexpected behavior of your application when certain input is provided. Actually, this could be the definition of probably 90% of bugs. But difference with IT security is that IT security is 99% connected to input values. So for example, if you see what are the main web attacks, I mean the code-based web attacks, they are, for example, cross-site scripting, remote code execution. Every one of them depends on an input you provide that will make your code work in a way you do not expect. Now we'll see a couple of, I think there are 4 examples of code that I have found in some extension, and you will see how hard it can be to identify one bug. But before we go, there is just a parental control disclaimer. So if the following slide may contain code, PHP code that may add to your sensitivity. But they are not part of my imagination. As I told you before, they are actually real. The first one, okay, this is very simple. So I want to start one quiz. Okay, so here we have a block, okay, a classical block in which we got one parameter from the outside. So it's a request parameter. And down we have a PHTML just showing search result for an input we provided. So you would say, what's wrong here? I want to see someone raising hand and telling me what's wrong here, because it's quite simple now. No one, actually? Do you write code like this? Yes, escape. Because guys, this is the most undervalued bug in the world, probably. And even the most common. This is a cross-site scripting vulnerability. Because if I provide a JavaScript, this JavaScript is included in the document. And the problem comes when someone creates a link like this one. This is an URL encoded for that JavaScript. And for example, place this URL inside one email. So the people that will click on this link will send through your website their session information to another server. And I can, for example, get their session, get information, or I can even replace the content of your website. This is very dangerous. This is one of the most dangerous bugs, I think. And I've found these many times, probably the most common, actually, and even very dangerous. This is, I think, why Magento is putting a lot of escapes inside this code. Second one, yeah, this is easy. And yeah, you wouldn't believe, but I've seen this too many times. Yeah, we got a resource model, and we have a kind of authentication method. So we put inside username and password, and we want to see if this username and password has something corresponding on the DB. But what is the problem here, guys? This is simple. This is a SQL injection bug. Because if I provide one input like this, the string becomes like this, and few people know that PHP will truncate here. So the actual query becomes this. So we got admin full access just because we forgot to escape these two variables. This is very dangerous, even because with this, we can even read file system information, because few people knows that MySQL has command to read files from the file system. So we can read etc password, for example. Or we can even create files or get all the customers you have, modify information. This is probably the most disruptive bug you may found. And this is the best one. We have a function here. We have get file content, and we get a path from the outside. And the guy was smart, because we have a check here. You know, if I pass one path like // I can access the directory, the parent directory. But this guy was quite smart, because we have a check here. And this is very tricky, because this code is buggy. Because few people know that PHP will handle \, like /, even in Linux. So if I pass something like this, the string becomes like this, and PHP is translated this way. So we pass the control, but we get a path traversal bug. This is very tricky, because very few people know about that. I have seen a lot of code with this problem, a lot of codes. And yeah, another one I want to show you. You may know this, is how you should ever avoid to use unserialized. Now you will understand why. So imagine you have, this is your code. And somewhere else, you have one serialized, you get an input from the outside. And here you have another class that probably does not belong to your code. I mean, something probably in the vendor folder coming from third-party modules. You do not even know there is this kind of code. You would say, what is the problem here? I don't see anything wrong. But even now, there is a side effect of unserialized that few people know, that is object unpacking. I can pass one object to unserialize. So if you have seen the previous class, we have a private variable containing tmp upload.txt. This class was just deleting this file when it got distracted. But if we modify by injecting this code, we can, for example, delete one sensitive file for Magento. So now you can understand that actually sometimes introducing a new security issue is very easy, especially for the last two examples we have seen. I don't know if you agree with me and give me some feedback. Do you? No one? Nah, you're shy, I know. Anyway, this can lead to remote code execution, path traversal, and a lot of bad things. And yeah, I want to say that no programmers were injured while running this code, but do not try this at home. But the lesson is actually that you should never trust your input. This is probably the most important rule, because a lot of successful hacking attempts just depends on missing escapes or missing input normalization. This is very important. Unless you have problem in the code logic, I hope you have not. Most of the problems can be just solved putting an additional escape. And yes, please, stop copy and pasting from Stack Exchange, because we all know that a lot of code is coming from Stack Exchange, and there is nothing wrong here. The problem is that we do not know how much of this code comes from questions and how much comes from answers. This is the main problem. Let's go at the second Fight Club rule, and is report any third-party security issue we may found. Because in my opinion, if you're using Magento, yeah, we know that security, you could say it's a Magento team problem. I mean, I'm using Magento, so it's someone else's problem. Actually, open source also means contributing. So if you use Magento and you find a security bug, in my opinion, you should report it. It's your duty. Because otherwise, you are not understanding what open source means. Because we have seen before with Max that open source means contributing, actually. And this is one of the most important contribute you can give to Magento. Even because, we all know that Magento guys are crazy people, and because they pay you if you find some bug. Yeah, they're crazy, very crazy people. So they can pay you up 10,000 dollars if you find one security bug. Of course, it must be a very big one, I think, for $10,000. Max, should be a big one? Yeah, very big one. And yeah, they're crazy people because they pay you because you are modifying Magento to get it better, and you use by yourself. They're crazy people, but they pay, so it's fine. Yeah, the third one is to be able to identify attacks to your website and to understand if you have been hacked. Well, of course, we could rely just on Mage Report and Magento Security Scanner. There are two tools. They are two tools very important to let you understand, for example, if you're missing some patches in Magento, if your site contains malicious JavaScript code, and so on. But they are scanning from the outside your Magento. If you want to scan from the inside, and for example, you think your website has been hacked, you can rely on two main strategies. The first one is to find all the attack patterns you may find in your code. I found this guy, he was very famous actually, that created a TXT file containing a huge amount of patterns you will find in an hacked website, a Magento hacked website. So if you run through grep, it will discover a lot of files. Of course, we'll have a lot of false positives as well, but at least you have a short list of files you should check. Or for example, if you run using cron, you can check differences between what was the last report and the new report to see if you have new files with strange information inside. And yeah, I just discovered this, and I didn't know that, but ClaimAV is a free antivirus on Linux. Is capable of understanding if a PHP code is a malicious code, and even a JavaScript code. So it has to be a known malware, of course. But you can even understand if your website was hacked by using a ClaimAV scanner. But of course, yeah, if you rely on this kind of tools, it's too late, So you're just finding a cure. And of course, we all know that actually prevention should be the best cure. And since I told you before that open source also means contributing, and I want to be the good example, and not only making presentation of that, I want to say you that, for example, my company released this set of tools for free on GitHub. They are available for Magento 2 for everyone. We called it Security Suite. It's just a set of tools that can be installed even independently. They face security from different point of view. For example, we have a two-factor authentication for the backend. So you just do not rely on password because you will never believe, but a strong password is not enough. Because if someone discovers this password, of course, does not need to have a very complex password. But two-factor authentication can make the difference. We have reCAPTCHA, we have spammer prevention, if you have problems, for example, of people sending reviews and so on. So we are able to connect to databases containing all the IPs of bad guys, and we can stop the execution. And yeah, admin IP restriction. This is very stupid extension, but very powerful and important extension, because you can, for example, restrict the admin access to your IP to avoid someone else doing something wrong. It's very stupid, but sometimes it's can be actually very effective. And yeah, the last one, I want to just show you something because it's very cool, and not because I wrote it. It's very cool, actually. And it's an IPS and IDS that you can install inside Magento. I know someone will say, an IDS, an APS. IDS, I'm sorry, it means intrusion detection system, and IPS is intrusion prevention system, are usually tools that are before Magento, because they should stop the threat before coming to Magento. But actually this module is inside Magento, but it runs as an application plugin. Basically, it's probably one of the it runs very early in the code. So unless you have a very strong bug in a very basic layer of Magento, you can rely on this kind of tool. And it's very effective because working inside Magento can understand, for example, the structure of the database, and is capable, for example, to identify a SQL injection in a very effective way. This is just an example. And basically, it's a very complex module. I will show you a video on how it works that is based on an input filter. So we get the input, we unpack the input. So for example, if you send me a SQL injection, we all know that a SQL injection can be base64 encoded, for example, if it's unpacked inside the code. So we have an unpacker to, for example, unpack the base64 code as well as, for example, a JSON encoded form or a zipped encoded form and so on. And yeah, we reconduct to a simplified encoded form. So if you send me, for example, a SQL injection containing comments, this is a classical example, we reconduct this to a minimum form, and we are able to pass through a pattern identification and eventually stop the threat. The difference is that this is very effective, and we have very, very, very false positives. Actually, we have no false positives in our websites. And this is very important because we can rely on the system lockdown. So if we have a threat, we stop the threat before the threat comes the broken code. I want to show you a video. It will take just 1 minute. And then I will explain you how it works. Oh, yeah, I don't know. OK, this is a, yeah, I'm sorry. It started. So we are inputting a set of attacks. For example, this is a base64 encoded of the SQL injection, and it got stopped by this module. For example, we can inject, this is a, what is that? I cannot read. I'm sorry. OK, this is a cross-site scripting. We are able to analyze this one, and the system can stop. And we can even have more complex examples like this one. This one could be understood as an URL. Actually, it is a cross-site scripting injection. But what if we provide, of course, a safe input? If we provide a simple lorem ipsum, yeah, it's a safe input. Nothing happens. And for example, we even have some strange inputs like this one that can be confused with a SQL injection, but actually is detected as a safe input. And I want to show you how it works. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to go back again. So, yeah, this is the base64 encoded string we provided before. As I told you, there is an unpacking system that can explode the string in the classical form. So this is a SQL injection. This was a SQL injection. Then we simplify the form, and we reconduct to an encoded form with a very complex algorithm that if you want to study, you're free to study. Is on GitHub, as I told you before. Then we pass this string to a regex analyzer with a set of patterns, and we give one score for each threat we detect. So for example, we understand this is a SQL injection, and we give a score of 110 that is quite high. And yeah, we find one file system disclosure threat, 50 score. Because this is a SQL injection, but we also have one file system disclosure. So it's capable of identifying that the threat is very dangerous. So we have one final score of 160 that is actually the double of the allowed size, the allowed score that is 80. We identified 80 as the best one. Let's see this one. You probably know this. This was the famous shoplift attack in Magento 1. Do you remember the shoplift attack? It was probably one of the most tremendous attacks on Magento 1. There was a vulnerability that allowed people to create admin accounts, to retrieve database information, and so on. Of course, this module is from Magento 2, but if we had, at that time, we could stop this kind of vulnerability, even if it wasn't known, because we are able to identify it is a SQL injection and a generic language injection, and we gave an overall score of 298, and we can stop this attack. But what happens, for example, if we provide a strange string? I mean, select anything you like from this product page, and remember to update your cart. Actually, this seems like a sequel, because there is select, from, semicolon, and so on. So a traditional ADS, maybe, may have problems understanding is a normal input. And in our case, we reconduct a simple form that if you study my code, you will understand that is a quite safe code. But it's strange. It's something not exactly wrong. So the system will just say you identify this string, but I didn't stop the input because I'm quite sure it is not a threat, but I want to notify you. Because we give an overall score of 57 on 80. That is the level we use to stop. And the cool part is that you can integrate in using Slack, Telegram, or email to get notified immediately if someone tries to hack your website. And you will be impressed on how many attacks you receive every day without knowing that. But yes, you have Magento. Magento is very strong from the security point of view. So sometimes you can just, I don't care. You can just say, I don't care. But if we have an unknown security bug, this module can actually protect you. So thank you for your time. And if you have any question, I'm here.